Hi everybody and welcome back to my channel where we talk about true crime and mystery. We have cases that will make you cry, cases that will make you angry, and also cases that will make you want to punch somebody in the face. But most importantly, this is a channel where we talk about real crime and real people, but doing it nicely. Don't forget to subscribe and all the other YouTube shenanigans. So for today, I bring you the Parker-Hulme murder case. A teen obsession turned deadly. What turned these two teenagers into murderers? Let's find out. Well, this case took place in New Zealand in the city of Christchurch, South Island to be precise. Until this day, this story still fascinates people. Pauline Parker was born on May 26, 1938 in a working-class family household. Juliet, whom was a few months younger, she was born in London, and her family was a little bit bougier than Pauline's. In 1948, Juliet and her family immigrated to New Zealand. During their early teens, Juliet and Pauline met. Both of them attended Christchurch Girls' High School, and they bonded right away because both of them had something in common. They both suffered debilitating illnesses as a child. Pauline had osteomyelitis and Juliet had tuberculosis. As a child, Juliet was sent to the Caribbean and South Africa in the hopes the warm weather would improve her health. Being ill created a deep bond between the teenagers, a bond so deep they romanticized the idea of being sick. Their bond turned into an obsession. They were obsessed with each other, to the point their parents actually thought the girls were gay, which at the time was considered a mental illness. Pauline and Juliet spent all of their time together. Pauline used to stay over at Juliet's home, and every time Pauline left, Juliet would become withdrawn and sick. The girls were codependent, and their parents were very concerned and wanted to break them apart. As their relationship developed, the girls developed a fantasy life together, their own world, where they shared their love for literature and dream of becoming famous writers. Pauline and Juliet wrote plays, books, and stories about this fantasy life they had surrounded by famous actors and artists. They also invented their own religion with their own saints. And they envisioned a parallel dimension called the fourth world, where they could only enter through spiritual enlightenment, which they have achieved because of their friendship. In 1954, when Pauline was 16 years old and Juliet was 15, Juliet's family broke apart. Her parents divorced, and with the divorce, they planned to return to England. But due to Juliet's health, they decided that she would go to South Africa. This was Pauline and Juliet's nightmare, being separated. They became hysterical and decided they would have to find a solution. They decided Pauline should go to South Africa too. They planned to go to South Africa, then Hollywood or New York to publish their writings and work on films. But to do it so, they needed to remove the person that would prevent Pauline to move to South Africa. And that person was Honora, Pauline's mother, who Pauline knew would never allow to leave to South Africa. So they developed a plan, a solution to be together. Pauline and Juliet planned to kill Pauline's mother, Honora. So, on June 22nd, 1954, Pauline, Juliet, and Honora went to a tea kiosk. Then Pauline and Juliet convinced Honora to go for a walk through Victoria Park in Christchurch. But Honora never thought this would be her last walk. Death was looming at the ends of her daughter, and it would be brutal. Using a brick inside a stocking, Pauline and Juliet bludgeoned Honora to death. After killing Honora, the girls returned to the tea kiosk covered in blood. They met the owners of the kiosk and told them Honora had fallen and hit her head. They found Honora's body. It had lacerations all over her, and she also had defensive wounds. Then the police found the murder weapon. So Pauline and Juliet's version of an accidental death crumbled. Pauline and Juliet were arrested for the murder of Honora Parker. The trial caused a huge media sensation due to mental illness and possible homosexuality. During During trial, the girls were focused only on each other. The defense's strategy, based on the fact that girls were insane, but they weren't able to prove it. Psychiatrists stated they suffered from paranoia, attachment anxiety, narcissism, but they weren't insane. They believed they were superior to other people. They were clever, brilliant, and selfish. The prosecution presented Pauline's diary where she outlined their plan to kill Honora. On one occasion, Juliet was heard saying to Pauline, "The old girl took a bit more killing than we thought." And when they were questioned by a policewoman about this comment, Juliet replied, "Oh, aren't we the perfect little policewoman?" In my opinion, I think Juliet was the dominant one in this relationship. Well, things didn't end well for Pauline or Juliet. On August 28, 1954, both of them were found guilty of murder. Because they were minors, they escaped the death penalty. So, both of them were sentenced to 5 years in prison and sent to different prisons. After being released from prison, Juliet joined her father in Italy. She then went to England, then to the US, and settled back in England. She became a successful historical detective novelist under the name Anne Perry. In 2006, during an interview, she stated she and Pauline were obsessed with each other, but they weren't gay. After being released from prison, Pauline was in parole for 6 months, and then she left the country. Pauline had a new identity, left for England. Later on, she released a statement through her sister expressing remorse for killing her mother. Pauline and Juliet, after going to prison, never met again. And so this is the story of the Parker-Hulme murder case. And what do you think? Is it really just a matter of mental illness, or was there some evil rooted in these girls? Were Pauline and Juliet mad or bad?